pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lays.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Sullivan. Owen. Here. Childers. Here. Bessler. Here. McGrath. Here. First item on the agenda tonight is Maine 207 Parent of the Year Award. You start with Maine East, Mike?
Hi everybody. I am very, very pleased to introduce to you our Maine East Parents of the Year, Richard and Yolanta Pleja and their daughter Alex Alexander. We had a great letter that Alex wrote, and I'm going to read that to you all. So she starts off. How many times have you heard someone say, hey, going to the cross-country meet this weekend? We're going to make a day of it. That's right. Probably never. Running really isn't a spectator sport, and that's not a secret to any runner worth their salt. Be it cross-country, where fans have to chase their athletes around the course to catch a glimpse of a few seconds of the race, or track and field, the sport of running in ovals, watching running ends up entailing a lot of running oneself. It's not fan-friendly. That didn't dishearten Richard and Yolanta Pleja for 4 years. Whether it was an early morning meet that required rising at the crack of dawn, they awoke at 3 a.m. to surprise me at a meet downstate in Peoria once, or one that sent them rushing from work, mom still in her scrubs. My parents came to every meet they could. Not only did they support me by cheering my name, but they learned the names of the girls on the team and brought them positive encouragement as well. My teammates of both sports would approach me after competitions and comment with surprise, saying, your dad was cheering for me during the race. He's so cute. Or, I saw your mom and she yelled my name. It really helped me out. They were surprised my parents learned their names and didn't just cheer for me, but for them also. Those are the types of people my parents are, full of respect for girls who try their hardest at things that aren't easy. That was a lesson to me. They taught me through their example in valuing hard work, dedication, and persistence. Placing emphasis on such important characteristics inspired me to work harder and make them proud. They welcomed my team to our home for pasta dinner and movie night. While I was draining the pasta, I heard my dad go into the living room and interrupt the girls talking. He said, I just wanted to let you know, he said, that all of you are winners and what you're doing is amazing. I am so proud of each of you. He was answered with a chorus of awes while I teared up tossing salad. Talking the talk is one thing, walking the walk quite another. Please pardon my walking, running pun. My parents were obviously verbally there, but their preparedness at my events was another story itself. Without fail, the Pleja parents have toted pretzels, cookies, and/or water bottles with them in case of shortages at events. There's never a hungry soul post-race because there's usually a mama or papa Pleja standing nearby with something to revive the body and the spirit. On hot meet days in September, when temperatures climbed and the sun boiled overhead, my dad waited at the finish line with a case of water at his feet for drinking and pouring over the head, there was enough for both, and sunscreen in his hand. When the annual overnight Peoria meet rolled around for the cross-country team, my mom showed up before the van drove away with a case of bagels, the best runner's food, and a container of freshly baked blueberry muffins. She'd wake up before the sun rose to bake them so they'd be fresh and ready for the girls the day of the trip. Underclassmen have said to me, you know what I'm going to miss besides you next year? Your mom's blueberry muffins. Those things were heaven. It wasn't the muffin's flavor that made the difference. Sure, her secret recipe is fantastic, but what made the gesture so profound was the time she put into them, the sleep she sacrificed, and the love that was manifested through them. My mom's love and care for the comfort and well-being of my teammates made her a mom to everyone on the team. Those muffins were her personal touch, her way of telling each girl, this one's for you because you're worth sacrificing sleep. You are important to me. There's something unique about the way my parents support me, however. Physical presence, sacrifice of time, providing vitamins, those are all admirable things. But my dad's gift to me during my 4 years of school has gone beyond providing for the present. He literally captured moments for me through his photography. His passions for both running and photography inspired him to carry his camera with him to my races. He recognized the value of the time I spent with my teammates, but also how brief the years are. He knew how quickly the moments would pass and wanted to preserve them not only for me, but for my friends as well. He took pictures of every one of the girls on our team who ran to help them capture their story and their hard work, so that they would remember it later. The way he caught us in our finest moments is nothing short of art. Apart from being the Facebook profile pictures and cover photos of most of the team at some point, they've been used in the yearbook over the years and framed in bedrooms, dorm rooms, and classrooms. That art made not only me, but the girls I run with feel appreciated and cared about. He stopped time in moments that we shined to be looked at again and again through the years. There are few things more beautiful than that. My parents rose above and beyond the parental call of duty. They didn't just show up to a meet or two. They didn't just stand there and clap. They proved with their words, actions, and intentions that they cared deeply about me and the girls on my team. And they treated those girls like their own. They're a truly remarkable couple and have sacrificed so much to put me where I am in life right now. They deserve to be honored and recognized. I want everyone to know how amazing they are.
Normally, at each of our meetings throughout the year, we recognize students. And a few years ago, at our June meeting, we began doing this and having students nominate parents. And it's turned out to be just a wonderful event to sort of flip the script a little bit, and we get to meet the parents who are always behind the success of the students. And it's nice to have our students reflect on those things. Wonderful job. We have a small token of our appreciation for the award.
And next up, Maine South, Sean, please.
Thank you. Our parent of the year at Maine South is Kelly Harper, mother of Jack Harper. I just want to stand. Honorable Jack's letter. As I thought about who had the greatest impact on my life, I began to think of everyone who had been involved in my academic and athletic careers. Moments later, I realized that I was looking in the wrong part of my life. These people have passed through my life as teachers and coaches. They get cycled in and out every year, yet the one person who had the most impact was the one who had been there for every day of my 18 years. My mother, Kelly Harper, by far has had the greatest impact on my life. Her heart and determination are something that I can only hope to have one day myself. She's many things: a business owner, a woman of faith, a loving mother of 3, but this year she became a widow. On September 11th of this year, my father, Michael Harper, was killed in a car accident. My mother was left to care for 3 teenage children along with a business all by herself. The death left her fractured, maybe even hopeless, but she never broke, never gave in. As time passed and life began to move forward once again, ever so slowly, she held our family together. She coined the name Team Harper years ago as a way to describe the family bond the 5 of us shared: Mike, Kelly, Katie, Maddie, and myself. And after the passing, she made it clear that just because we're down a player doesn't mean we've lost the game. She's incredible. She really is, and she's been there since her first day of motherhood with her oldest child, me. With all that's been taken away from her and all that she sacrificed, she continues to give so generously throughout her donations, but also her time. She volunteers at any middle school or high school event she can get her hands on, although I think it's just to embarrass us. Her morals and standards for her 3 children are high and mighty, but have resulted in, what I like to think, without being boastful, 3 of the most well-rounded, down-to-earth kids and that you may ever meet, because that's who she is: down-to-earth, well-rounded, kind, and compassionate. As she prepares to send me off to college, she also is preparing for the other 2 Harper girls to follow. She's a woman who puts everyone else before her and asks nothing in return. She is the definition of humble, but also of greatness and loving. She's a mother to my 2 younger sisters and me, but a second mother to anyone who she meets, anyone in need. Her impact on this community can never be measured by her wingspan, because her heart and her soul are far too big to be measured. She is, without a doubt, deserving of this award. If you had the chance to meet her, you'd understand, because there's a loving, friendly sense of life and joy, along with a motherly charisma about her that can't be put into words. I'm blessed to have her because I know that she isn't only the parent of the year, but also the parent of a lifetime. Mention that not only did Jack acknowledge Ms. Harper, another student had actually reached out and nominated Mrs. Harper as well for the school. Wow.
This is the first time I've heard that, so.
Congratulations.
And last but not least, Mainland, Audrey, please.
I can see him crying, Jack. That was wonderful, wonderful. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Anya Halabecki, who has nominated her parents, Mark and Aga Halabecki. If you'll please stand. And you should recognize Anya. She was 207's best earlier this year. And she's an incredible young lady who has had her parents at the forefront. She and her brother, Matt, are crazy successful, and she gives credit to them in a wonderful letter. She says, "Before my parents met, my mom traveled to the United States, intending to only stay for a while. At the time, Poland was under Soviet rule, and with the rise of the Solidarity movement, tensions did nothing but increase. As the situation in Poland got worse, both of my parents realized how many more opportunities the United States had to offer. They each wanted a chance at a secure and successful life where they each got to define who they were. My mom decided to make her temporary visit a permanent stay, while my dad also took the risk of starting a new life in the United States. Because of the nature of these decisions, both of my parents had to leave everything behind and start from scratch. They literally had nothing. Neither had their families nearby to guide them, and while they did have to learn Russian under Soviet rule, neither could speak English. Despite their great disadvantages, both of my parents achieved their goals through hard work and perseverance, becoming employed while learning the language. They eventually met each other through a mutual friend, and together they rose above many challenges, securing the stable lifestyle. When my brother and I were born, instead of enjoying the fruits of their labor, my parents immediately shifted their focus to encompass what was best for us, selflessly devoting their lives to bettering ours and encouraging us in our endeavors. Because of my parents, my brother and I were exposed to numerous opportunities to become well-rounded individuals. Swim lessons, dance classes, violin and piano lessons, school musical ensembles, Polish school, religious education, tennis lessons, summer camps, volunteer groups, the list goes on. After my brother and I discovered what we were most passionate about, my parents continued to support us 100%, emphasizing the importance of taking advantage of such wonderful opportunities while we had the chance, working hard now so that later on our lives could be easier. This exposure comes with a price. My parents' investment into our lives means working long nights in stressful work conditions, limited time spent in the company of family friends, no cable TV, opting out of eating out, and taking extreme care of everything we own, making do without little luxuries other families have. Years have passed since my family has been able to go on vacation, and it's been more than 10 years since my mom last saw her side of the family in Poland. It has been almost 3 times as long for my dad, and even though his nephew is getting married this summer, it's not looking like he will be able to make it to the wedding either. Skype, Facebook, phone calls, and letters have become our link to our overseas family. If that isn't enough, with 2 children soon to be in college, I can only imagine how much tighter finances will become. My parents don't stop there. In addition to supporting my brother and me, both of my parents go out of their way to fight for others. When a fantastic teacher I once had was in danger of losing his job, my parents fought hard to try changing that course of action. A family friend has recently become unemployed, and my parents have been doing all they can to help her get through this very difficult time. Seeing my parents act in such selfless ways toward others is a huge reason why my brother and I try helping others overcome obstacles and fight for people we care about. My parents' stories fuel me. If my parents have the strength to tackle obstacles of that scope, I know anything is possible, and I can also achieve my goals if I put my body and soul into it. The results have been so fruitful, and I have had so much to be thankful for, due in large part to my parents. Their selflessness inspires me to try my best to put others before myself. They have taught me to never settle for less, to put my heart behind everything I do, to be more perceptive of what's going on around me, to have confidence in myself, to be patient, to live every moment of my life to its fullest, and to be fearless. I am driven by the desire to show them all of their hard work isn't in vain, and that I appreciate all they do to support me. It's impossible for me to pinpoint specific moments and acts that display the worthiness of this reward. Rather, their entire existence, every moment, selflessly revolves around supporting my brother and me, as well as putting others before themselves. And if that doesn't demonstrate that together they are the parents of the year, I am clueless as to what does. I am truly blessed to have such wonderful parents, and I would not be where I am today if not for them.
so lucky in District 207 to have the kind of students that are so thoughtful and see a big picture. We often take for granted that young people can't see the larger world, and it's nights like this to remind us that in fact they can and they do. But what's really compelling is the thread and the connection with our parents that frankly help provide the type of students that we're lucky enough every day to get to work with. So this is a wonderful award and very well deserved. You've each got incredibly compelling stories. Thank you all very much for the wonderful job you've done of raising great children and for being a part of the Maine 207 community. Thank you. I think we will want to get some pictures with your principals and Dave Berry so we can put up on the website. You're free to come back in and join the meeting, otherwise this is a pretty good time to skedaddle out.
Okay, thank you. Updates from the superintendent, please.
I have none at this time.
Okay. Updates from board members? Mary?
I'm registered for the IASB seminar. I don't know who else is going June 21st.
Sounds good.
Is that wrong, Donald, or what?
No, I was going to print it off.
It's okay.
Gentleman speaking,
It's on
thank
the
you.
state of our schools
Okay.
and the state of education.
Oh, that's right.
It's on a Saturday.
I know we sent it out. How about if we send it back out to everybody this week too? Just as a reminder.
It was in the, I think it was in the.
I sent it
You
Friday
put it
notes
right
maybe a
out
couple
in
weeks
May, I
ago.
think.
Location?
I call it
Itasca?
Hamilton, the hotel in Itasca. I don't know what it's called. I think.
I'll send it back out in the next day or two to make sure that everybody's got it in front of them again, just as a
Yeah,
single
they're
item.
wonderful.
Is this not too late to register?
Gee,
No,
no,
they-
the register.
Would you like to call
Sure.
Jim?
21st, right?
It's a
Yes.
Saturday, yeah.
There's a $400 cost, which tells me it's going to be very, helpful, very good.
It looked like a good one. I think it was a nationally recognized speaker.
Yeah.
Anyone, anything else? Okay, next we have, education committee. Mary?
The assistant superintendent and I are going to have a working meeting this summer to talk about the education issues for the fall.
Yeah, anything else from the?
Yeah, we've decided we're going to go.
We're going out to lunch. Yes, we're going to work over food,
There you go. That's
because we
good.
think it'll be more helpful, more stimulating, brain power.
Okay, and, anything in the, from the meeting, on May 5th?
You're going to hear about the bulk of it tonight in one of the agenda items.
Okay.
So
We'd like to wait on
Okay, thank you. Next is finance. Sean's not here, Eric?
Sure. We had a very short finance committee meeting. I think it was about a minute and 30 seconds.
Well done.
Come on.
But we discussed a parking lot use agreement with the city of Park Ridge that extends to Maine East and Maine South. It looked like in the agenda, I think it said Maine East and Maine West today, but it's a mistake. Yeah, it's Maine East and Maine South.
And I don't know if there's a correction on the times, because it said finance was like 7:08, and really, Eric wasn't at the meeting.
We paused the meeting to go into the ground and
It
went
was-
back to finance.
Okay, it didn't say that in the notes.
Okay. We reviewed a software agreement with Skyward, a very large vendor for the school district, and transportation bids.
Are those things on the agenda?
Everything but the transportation bid, we're gonna do some additional scope review and bring that recommendation in July.
Thank you.
Buildings and grounds, we discussed the TMA building remodeling for use as ARC and the administration center. Talked about it in depth, the planning as well as the budget for that. Also, we had some discussion about some construction at Maine West, allowing for a little bit better utilization of the athletic facilities at Maine West, and perhaps some future ideas that the district has as well. We've asked for a feasibility study utilization study to kind of understand how the space is used and what Maine West is doing to handle the fact that they don't currently have a field house and the other schools do, and what type of impact that has to students. So I think we're probably going to see that in a couple of months would be my guess.
Right.
We'll work on that over the summer. I also plan to visit the TMA building with Mary sometime soon. Hope to do it before tonight, but didn't have a chance with my schedule. So maybe this week we'll look it out there, but district is well on top of both of those two projects.
Thank you. Next up is monthly status of finance. Mary?
In your board packet is the April financial statements. We're tracking pretty much on budget in terms of revenue and expenditures. On the revenue side, always the wild card is, will we get a fourth mandated categorical payment by the end of August so that we can count it in this fiscal year, or won't we? Because that's about $1.5 million to $1 million swing in revenue. On the expenditure side, all of the funds, with the exception of Health Life Safety Fund, as we reported probably almost every month, we bought some additional doors with some Health Life Safety Fund balance, because we got a good price on that, about $50,000. They were on the items to do in future years, and the Tort Immunity Fund because of some additional costs for legal fees and some additional costs for workers' compensation. I will entertain any questions on the financial report.
I have one question. During the current fiscal year, did we have a payment from prior fiscal year from the state?
Yes, so what happens is if the books are right now on a cash basis. So we've got the payments in July and August, which we then accrued for in last fiscal year. So what will happen is when we start to do the audit this year, we'll deduct those payments and add back in any payments for July and August, so it masks that payment, because if they don't make that payment this summer, you're actually down a payment, but you wouldn't know it until you did the audit.
Right, you would, on a cash basis,
On a
we are
cash
not,
basis.
because we have a carryover from
Correct.
last year on a cash basis. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The other item under finance is an update on the possibility of TIF number 7, your displays. The displays mayor and city manager met with us to explain what they want to do, and essentially what they want to do is to break the current TIF 6 into a TIF 7, an existing TIF 6, and pull one parcel and put that back on the tax rolls. They went through the calculations, they gave us some analysis in terms of feasibility, and from our standpoint, it would involve a revenue sharing agreement, and we would continue now. This is our
It's the
check-in.
Manheim Road.
That's the Manheim Higgins, yes. So they're looking, they've approached us in a very professional manner to outline the problem, look at some potential solutions to see if they can make this work for the redevelopment. We've done some analysis. We will continue to work with their staff over the next several months to bring this. But this is our check-in point where we want to make sure that this is something the board wants us to continue to work with.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you, Mary. Instructional services, Bart?
I'm going to defer to Hank for the first one.
Textbook adoptions, we have a both later on in the evening for second reading. We have a couple of additions here for first reading this month that will come back for second reading approval next month in July. Both of these are from the socials, both of the key textbook resources are from the social science department. One is a switch in digital books because the publisher is discontinuing the current digital book at some point over the next year, so they want to get a head start on working on a different resource that they feel is actually better than the one that's being discontinued. The other one is a sociology textbook that's typically a senior level course. It is a resource that they'd like to, not this year, but the following year, go fully digital in. The publisher, to help us make that leap now, is throwing in the print copies of the book if we move digital now. So that'll bridge us a year. So those students that are seniors in sociology next year will get basically a free copy of the book to use for the year. We'll roll those in as class sets for the year following, and it allows our juniors that are in that course to use their Chromebooks next year for the cost of that. So, and seniors next year would get the digital resource as well to use from home if they want to. There's also a few adjustments in fees listed in there that reflect those textbooks as well. So that's it for this month for new textbook resources.
We did send out, I think last week in front of notes, Hank put together some model kind of book order scenarios, just pick some of the main ones, and because of the increased adoption of ebooks, we're really being able to gain traction. We had estimated very conservatively savings over a student's 4-year career, and we will meet or probably exceed those just with the increased adoption of ebooks. The market's really tipped, and I think we're, in a few years, that'll probably be just about all we're using.
Well, saving the cost is pretty important. At the same time, how efficient the students are utilizing this ebook Chromebook? Do we hear any positives or negative feedbacks from the student through this personal experience?
Yeah, we hear both. But if you ask this, I think we hear the similar kind of stuff you would hear with a print textbook. And you ask them, what do you think of your print textbook? Some students like that, some students don't. You know, it runs very similar to what we would see with any resource.
The difference is, with a daughter in high school with electronic, textbooks and hardcover textbooks, she can't tell us I left my book in my locker. So she always has access to the ebook.
And that's actually one of the complaints from the students, is that their level of excuses are dropping rapidly.
So no more excuses about my
And
dog.
forgot my homework, my dog ate it.
Just an interesting side note, Hank and I went down to 64 to work with their teachers. One of the teachers we had with us, actually, as we sat in 64, was checking on his students who had a substitute at the time, and actually chatting him, like, get back to work.
And kids asking him questions like, hey, I know you're available.
So it was actually a pretty neat, kind of little off-the-cuff demo we didn't plan for about how available teachers are and how even when you're not there, you are there with this resource.
A lot of the feedback from the students is appreciative of the lighter book bag, and that you're exchanging, and the book bag analysis does break that down. I think over 3 years, the average student is lowering the weight of books they're carrying by a total of, it's over 50 pounds, I think, so that's significant.
Well, we have our own case study in our house. We have a senior who didn't get the Chromebook and then a sophomore, and that's absolutely true, full backpack. And I think it's been interesting in our household to see the difference.
Yeah, and next year for many of our students, they're down to pretty much novels that they're carrying around in paper. We have quite a few students that will have 0 traditional textbooks next year.
And again, the financial help assistance to those families who really need get these Chromebooks, textbooks, but they cannot really able not to afford such. What way that we as a district reach out? How do we find that out? Or
students that are on fee waivers, they apply for that, and then there's a whole process that each school goes through to work through with those families. And that's the district's responsibility to pick up those costs. It's the next group of students that are just just barely don't qualify for fee waivers, that we work the closest with, and each of the individual schools and their administration work very closely with those families. We work out payment plans and cycles and those kinds of things, and work very closely with those families to make sure that all their needs are met.
So there's a definite way of access to help these parents.
Yeah, we've been dedicated, always that students have the resources that they need, and the Chromebook is just another one of those resources.
We also received the grant from the casino.
Yeah.
For
Helps
West.
the district
Really
offset the
West, yes.
cost of that.
They picked up the price of the textbook, or the Chromebook for kids on free and reduced books at West.
But that has a benefit for the entire district.
Right.
And do we have a data, rough data of what percentage roughly say we are helping such families? 5%, 10%, 40%? Yeah, roughly.
Mary can tell you.
At Maine East, it's about 46% on fee waivers. At Maine West, it's about 31%. It might be 38 this year.
And that doesn't count paying up.
Correct, and at West, it's like, I mean, at South, it's about 9%, and then we have, wow, a couple hundred people, I would say, on payment plans.
Well, we have a lot more this year.
Well, because we offered it for anybody for the Chromebooks to pay over 5 payments, but then we also have more time pay. I mean, in our basic approach to time pays is as long as you're committed to making payments, we're committed to working with you. So if they have to miss one, that's okay, so long as they continue to make them continuously.
It's a high percentage.
Well, I remember from when this was brought in that because we are paying for these, it's actually saving the district money.
Right.
Yes.
Because we're spending
We're the
less.
largest family in the district.
Right, we're spending less than we would spend if it was textbooks.
Thank you very much. Barb, career and college readiness.
This is actually one of the items that we had before the Ed committee meeting. And as you know, we've been working for several years now on our grading policies and practices, really centered around viewing the feedback that we give to parents and families is just that, clear feedback against a set of standards. And one of the things that we did recently was, as you know, to get a standardized grading scale for the district, and that has been a very good step. But the next thing that we realized that we need to do was to really sort of separate out from the grade calculations those things that are non-academic indicators. And in our committee, which is composed of a lot of administrators and teachers, we looked at some outside models, but we came to consensus around the issues that are on the rubric that's in your packet. 4 categories being respect, collaboration, habits for success, time management, and each of them having sort of 4 detailed indicators. We wanted a way in which to not have that impact the academic grade, but to be able to give clear feedback to students and parents. And so, starting next year, we're going to be asking all teachers to evaluate all of their students every 4 weeks and make that information available in the portal. It will not be on the transcript, so it is a low-risk environment for us to take this step in giving some standards-based feedback. And really this feedback in these categories connects to the college and career skills that we believe are what kids are going to need in the career pathways that we're working to establish with them. You have in your packet a view of what that report card line item might look like. We're trying to keep it extremely simple, and we're committed to revisiting this as we get some feedback on what may or may not be clear. But the other thing that we're going to work with teachers on is to increase and enhance their personal communication with parents about students, whether it be through emails or letters home or picking up the phone and connecting with some specific information about the students in the classrooms as well. So I'm happy to entertain any questions, but this has gone through several iterations. We have put it in front of some parents and back and forth with some different larger teacher groups too.
I have one question. I see on the sample report card, kind of, spells it out nicely, that I've seen that. At the far end, it says rubric components needing improvement. So that 11 and 12 would tie out to something that the parents would get in the.
They will get,
Okay.
actually 11 and 12 is 11 and 12 out of the 16 rubrics.
Okay, I see it there.
It will be available at the bottom of the report card.
Okay, is there a category for like highlighting things that a student does well instead of, not just needing improvement?
We are not going to have comments for that, but what we want to do, because we looked at each school's list of 100 comments and tried to find a way to try to massage that language and make it specific and meaningful, and it was kind of a struggle to envision that. So instead, what we're going to do is really work with teachers to make those connections with individual parents and families through email, through picking up the phone, through other ways of connecting with them, rather than use a generic comment that probably doesn't really explain why they're saying, it's a pleasure to have in class. I know that's a comment that Jim and I discussed before. We think we can make the comment more meaningful if parents actually contact the person in some way.
I have two questions. The first is maybe perhaps because I'm new, but what was the original gap that was identified that the need for this arose?
It really is solving a problem, which is if you have a teacher, or let's say you have many teachers who have students with grades where they're creating categories for points or value in some of these other soft skill areas, but it's weighted differently. It may mean different things in their classroom. It may not be objectively administered. There's not a set of standards against which we are uniformly making decisions about how to sway a grade one way or another, given that category. So a lot of the research and studies that we've looked at have advised taking out of the grade anything that's not academic. Let the grade itself stand for a measure of performance against a set of academic standards in that discipline. And recognizing though that these soft skills have their own set of standards, and you can get feedback on those. Teachers are very insistent that they do want to talk to parents about how kids are doing in time management, or how they're doing in respect or collaboration. But we need to do that in a way that it doesn't impact the academic grade, because you don't know how they do in math if you let 20% of the grade, let's say, or 15 if you're in a different class, or 30 in another class, be colored by some of these soft skill standards.
And then my second question was, will there be the first year, a baseline established such that you could trend if these are improving? Or is that too much work? Or is
No,
that
I think actually,
I think that's helpful information.
yeah, I think in Aspen, actually, we're going to be able to give kids a graphic.
No, not
That's-
initially. Initially it'll be a
that's
table, and then we'll grow to a graphic
Where
analysis.
they'll be actually eventually be able to see the charting of the progress, and we're going to be able to look at this every 4 weeks. So, and that'll be good feedback for different parents too.
Thank you.
The other thing that's going to accompany this, it's being under construction now by teachers, is what do these 4 categories look like or sound like? In other words, if you're being respectful and you are attending to those 4 components, what does that look like, sound like on a daily basis? And that'll be a tool that gets shared out with kids and with parents. I think will nudge some curriculum in the classroom, or some ways that classes are kind of taught how to act.
You're saying this is something that'll be available to
Yes.
students, parents, and the
Yes,
teachers?
we're building that out now.
And I'm hearing from business owners all the time, sometimes these are packages, what we call soft skills. These are the types of things that employers are telling us that they're really looking for. Being able to work in a group, respecting other opinions, demonstrating self-control, showing up on time, turns out to be really important. Those kind of things that, when you've got time at work and things like that. So those are skills that, and you're going to hear more about the college and career readiness paths moving forward as we try to pivot here in the district in some meaningful ways on this. What's really most meaningful, though, is this becomes a tool that's present in every classroom. What that does is, a student may go to see 6 or 7 teachers a day, but there may be only 1 or 2 that they're really listening to. And so it increases the chances that this becomes part of the nomenclature in terms of what the students are listening to and hearing and trying to move toward in terms of their importance.
Well, I agree, corporate America is moving towards this. Advocate Healthcare has behaviors of excellence, which become part of your merit, and it's all delineated just like this. It's very similar, respect is one of them, and collaboration is one of them. So it's really preparing the kids, I think it's great.
We can get this on their website.
I have a tag, we have to wear it on our tags, we wear it, and it's part of
Behaviors of excellence?
behaviors of excellence, collaborative, safe, respectful, stewardship.
That's all on tape,
Let me give my name badge.
It's okay.
You bring me
Okay.
Anything else, Mark? Any questions? Right, thank you very much. Ken, FOIA request?
1, and it's been responded to this month.
Okay. And I think we are to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion for items A through N, please?
A through N.
Eric, second. Paul, thank you. Are there any questions or comments about items on the consent agenda?
Just wanted to note the substantial interest transfer. A lot of money, and a lot of people often ask about what our reserves do in addition to preventing borrowing. And by my calculation, I wish it was more, but I think it's about 4 teachers.
I had just a question on the tentative school calendars. I see these are taking into account the shift to finals being before Christmas break. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Just for the 15, 16, 17.
Right,
But
okay.
for next year, it's still a traditional calendar.
So we're approving the tentative calendar.
Exactly. We always approve them in 3-year increments. So even if, when they're approved, if they were to be approved tonight, we would still be looking at 15, 16 next year again, and you'd vote again on it.
I have a question on the student activities expenditures. There's a number that are 0 line items, and that goes from year to year to year. So is it harder to put one on than take one off, and that's why they stay?
No, once they are zeroed out, we don't delete the account off the system, because it's like a placeholder should they restart. Because once you've had an approved constitution, you don't have to go back and do that again, even if you go dormant. So we leave them on there as kind of this club has applied and has the status, even though they've been dormant. For
A certain number of years where you.
we'd have to physically go in and delete them off the system for them not to show up. And we could look at doing that, but then we would need them to come back and reapply for the Constitution and get board approval over again.
Just more of a house cleaning.
Does clubs apply like every year, or do they have to write a little proposal?
No, once they're board approved, they are set. I don't think we've ever revoked a student activity, so they're pretty much set for duration. Yeah. But that's why you'll see from time to time the proposals come, the constitutions come, and they're board approved.
Any other questions? Jenny, if you call the roll, please. Owen?
Aye.
Bessler? Aye. Lee?
Aye.
Childers?
Aye.
Lays?
Aye.
McGrath?
Aye.
Next up is Board of Education Policies and Procedures, item 8. Can I have a motion on items A through C, please?
So moved.
Second. Second. Thank you. Any questions or comments? These are the policies that we saw last, are there any changes to these policies? No. No changes requested, okay. Hearing no questions, Jenny, can you take the roll, please?
Bessler. Aye. Childers.
Aye.
Lees.
Aye.
Owen. Aye. Lee.
Aye.
McGrath.
Aye. Next up is summer curriculum projects. Can I have a motion, please?
I will make the motion.
Mary? Second. Deb Paula? Barb, do you want to tell us a little about these, please?
Sure, this is the document that you saw last time. Through your electronic version, if you click on the link, you should be able to get to what was added and fine-tuned, and that was the names of the individual teachers who are working on these projects. We need a little bit more extra time to double-check for some of the names, so it's essentially the same document as you saw before. These are projects that are going to address a lot of the issues we're working on in special ed and gen ed, some of our school improvement planning projects, getting ready for Common Core, RTI, et cetera, And this is about the proportion of projects we've handled in the past at this rate of pay. Most of them are grant funded.
Okay, the total hours and numbers of projects, has it changed from the proposed?
Up slightly as the composition of individuals is firmed up, but we have the funding to cover that with the grants.
I seem to remember that we got a dollar amount on, or a number on this, but we didn't have the detail.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Any other questions? Hearing none? Jenny, please call the roll.
Lee.
Aye.
Owen. Aye. Lees.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Bessler. Aye. McGrath.
Aye. I have a motion on item 10, approval of bids and awarding of contracts, items A through H.
Make that motion.
I will second.
Okay, thank you. Mary, any comments? These reviews at the last finance committee?
We reviewed the Skyward proposal at the last finance committee, and the other one that's not technology related is the Quest satellite agreement. Quest would like to give us $10,000 for being able to prepare some food for St. Vitus in the Maine West Kitchen. No, I don't know you like that one. I'm gonna put it
There's no adverse impact from that?
Wait?
There's no adverse impact?
There is no adverse impact. Their contract remains in full force and effect. I have attached the certificate of insurance. These activities will be covered. It's a one-year program while St. Vitus remodels their own kitchen. They look for this to just gain extra dollars for the district because they know we have the capacity in our kitchens to serve other locations.
Yeah, I was concerned about insurance, I saw that it was covered, and the references where they go for Glenwood Park or
Glenbrook, the Glenbrook High School said that the only impact has been the nice feeling they got when they cashed their check. So.
Yeah. Go toward the field house one.
There you go.
Just have to do it for a few hundred more years.
Find more schools to be prepared.
We'll just have a whole galaxy of sites.
Well, or maybe the casino will get serious up there. Casino Fieldhouse, that's got a nice name to it.
No, it doesn't.
Hank, would you like to say anything about the technology items on here?
I can give you just a quick synopsis on each one. COTG is for local printers, so those are small printers throughout the district. CSC Learning is the contract for one of the resources that was approved just before with the textbook approvals. That's funded through grants. Aruba Wireless is for wireless network improvements that are staggered over this budget year and the next budget year. And there's a lot of details in there. should you want to read it? Call 1 is the transferring of telephone maintenance from our old provider AT&T to our new provider Call 1, so that puts everything under one umbrella, the service and the maintenance of the equipment. And then Chicago Cabling is the network cabling to go with the wireless. And DTI Management Services is for some of our larger printers throughout the building, the ones you find in offices, workrooms, and computer labs.
This is where the copy machines are at full life.
These ones are the next step down from large copy machines.
But the warranty or the lifetime of them is
Yeah, we
complete.
lease the equipment, and then DTI provides all the maintenance for it. And then we get charged per impression, just like we do for regular
So,
copies.
and it's 11 cents per color.
I think are most of these, like renewals of things or new?
No, COTG is a renewal. Aruba is new. Call 1 is new. It's a new company.
But it's replacing the AT&T.
Right. Chicagoland Cabling is a long-term company that we've used to outsource high-end cabling runs. And then DTI is who we entered into an agreement last year for our high-end, high-level copy machines, and now we're folding in this next mid-level, which Xerox, our old provider, had. Now we're just having DTI take that over. We kind of gave them a year trial run on the higher-end machines before we folded the mid-level contract in, and it's just an amendment on our current deal for our large copy machines.
Are any of those business might be a woman-owned business or minority-owned business or any?
I would have to go through them and see off the top of my head. I don't know off the top.
But they were bid, I mean, we put bids on the street for people to bid on the jobs, and so I know they were pretty competitively bid.
Are there any other questions or comments?
I mean, it might be prudent to start making it a normal practice to ask vendors if that's the case, since we have interest in that. You know, just keep records, because then we would know what percentage of vendors we have to fall into those categories.
Even though that's not mandatory,
Right.
but definitely worth.
Voluntary can be done as well.
Good suggestion, thank you, Eric. Any other questions? Here now, Jenny, if you would call the roll, please.
Owen. Aye. Lays. Lee. Childers.
Aye.
Bessler. LeGrand.
Aye. Item 11, compliance with Chapter 48 of the Illinois Revised Statutes prevailing rate of wages. Can I have a motion on the recommendation, please?
So moved.
So moved. I'll second it. Thank you. Mary, you want to?
We are required by law to pay prevailing wage on any basically improvement that we do to our building. So everything except for grass cutting, we have to pay prevailing wage. This is the latest prevailing wage, so on an annual basis, we adopt the resolution and the prevailing wage.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Childers.
Aye.
Lays.
Aye.
Bessler. Lee. Owen. McGrath.
Aye. A motion on item 12, agreement regulating parking lot use at Main East and Main South.
I would move that with the clarification that it's Main East and Main South. The title says that, the description says East and West. Just so when you move that over to the minutes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, thank you. Questions? Comments? I noticed that there was a change in terms of structure on our request.
Yes.
So will someone tell me how that, what the intent is and what we're
The
going to do?
intent would be that the principals would invite the police on their property to provide enforcement when they, in their judgment, had a traffic enforcement issue. So what we wanted to prevent was perhaps the potential for the Park Ridge Police Department to make money by ticketing anytime that they saw fit, that it would be at our request.
So we think there's
There's
too many,
more control.
way too many cars out there
that are illegally parked, that are blocking fire lanes, then we would ask for their assistance.
Or we think people are out there, they don't have permits and stuff like that,
Correct.
is that what we would, okay.
Yes.
Or I guess if we saw that, consistently maybe students were parking illegal or something, we'd ask them to monitor it, is that the idea?
Yes.
But they can't go through and give tickets for no city stickers.
Not unless we ask them to.
Right.
Can they do that?
I'm not sure they could do that
I think
anyway.
it's parking
it's
violations and,
It's a gray area.
Well, we've got kids here in both buildings who don't live in Park Ridge.
Right.
So
Well, no, not that it has to be a city sticker for Park Ridge, but that it's a valid, they have a valid.
Right.
It's nice revenue to kind of roll around.
Well, and that's kind of what we wanted to make sure that, I mean, and we have a very good relationship with the Park Ridge Police Department. We have no reason to believe that they would ever do something, but this is kind of how it is operated, been operationalized for years. So we didn't want to sign an agreement that shifted that, because this is how we've operated for many years, would be when we request their assistance for traffic enforcement, they provide it.
So just
Plus, we know
memorializing
Park
this
Ridge
now.
is on a little bit of a cash crunch, so.
Right, so we wanted to just memorialize what we've done in the past.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Jenny, can you take the roll?
Childers. Bessler. Lees.
Aye.
Owen. Lee. McGrath.
Aye. Item 13 is the budget timeline for the 2014-2015 budget approval for District 207 and Answer. Do I have a motion?
I so move.
Mary and Eric, thank you. Mary?
We lay out the timeline where we present the tentative budget in July. It goes on display July 1st. We have a public hearing at the August 4th Board of Education meeting and do our adoption in September. So this resolution just lays out the timing of that. So we have multiple points where the public knows when the public hearing is and when the budget will be on display.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Same schedule as usual?
Same schedule as usual.
Okay. Questions, comments? Hearing none, if you call the roll, please.
Bessler. Childers. Lee. Lees.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye.
McGrath.
Aye. Motion for item 14, teacher ratings rubric.
I so move.
Mary?
Second.
Eric, thank you. Barb, would you like to?
Sure. We completed our second year of teacher evaluation using the Danielson rubric. When the committee first met, we used what was available, which was her version of her framework for 2007. There's been a lot of changes since then, and as we've worked with our MTA and our administrators on looking at our rubric, we recognize that her 2013 version provided a lot of opportunities to be in alignment with some of the educational initiatives that we value and some of the changes in the state law. So the result of that work together is a rubric that you have in a packet laid down in front of you. It reflects some of the bullet point items that you have stapled to the front of it, some of those changes that are there. But in general, I'll just point out that we have come forward with a recommendation that we change the category labels for the last two performance levels from being proficient to move to the label accomplished, and moving the word excellent to become the word distinguished. That's a significant change. There are a couple of categories that have been enhanced or collapsed. It's aligned better to assessment literacy and our Common Core standards, and really coming into alignment with a lot of the vocabulary that we use in the district about assessment and grading and standards and learning targets and so forth. I gave you page 1 in the packet of what the document will look like for teachers. They will have the component 1A, and then the Danielson rubric now has critical attributes and possible examples. So I gave you a sample of that just to show you what that'll look like, but then the rest of your packet is simply just the components. This will be used by our teachers right now, right away, in their goal setting and getting ready for summer and for next year. So I'm hopeful that if there's any questions, I can answer that, but it would be wonderful if the board would feel comfortable with adopting what is essentially a revision to our existing rubric.
And how long has the existing rubric been in practice?
This is our second full year of using it.
And was there not one before that?
Not
So it was
like
relatively-
this, no. This came in with the change in era and SDSS.
Barb and Audrey and I are all on the teacher rating task force, so we've been working with the MTA for 3 years now on this. On the balance, this version is probably 90–95% consistent with what we adopted a couple of years ago. What it really does is try to become more precise, and that's what Barb is talking about with the critical attributes. So we've spent a couple of months actually working through the language and taking input from our raters, our evaluators who have evaluated this year. Hank is on the task force too, I forgot you, Hank, sorry about that. And getting input from teachers and from the evaluators themselves, and trying to make sure that we're continuing to finesse the instrument to make it do the job that it's supposed to do, which is get it right when it comes to evaluating teachers. And I think we're closer to being really good and being accurate now. Now it's just a matter of trying to get more precise and get it right. There's a lot riding on it for everybody. It's turned out to be, I think I sent the board a graphic a few weeks ago that showed the level of engagement that we've got now with teachers. We have teachers engaged now in ways more deeply than we've ever had. That's a good thing. So this is really, we think, an attempt to, having lived with it for 2 years, and frankly, when we set out 3 years ago, we realized we weren't chiseling this thing in stone, that we would, the committee or the task force is built to come back and review how did it go, what are things that we can improve, and really do it with fidelity. So this is just a moment in time where we've incorporated some of those things. The ratings of accomplished and distinguished, that's probably a semantic as much as anything. From a legal standpoint, the state of Illinois requires 4 ratings still, and distinguished is analogous with excellent, accomplished is analogous with proficient. It's just probably language that's a little bit less negatively connotated, perhaps. So that's where we're at. But we feel like this will continue on the road to trying to keep improving teaching. This has been a valuable instrument with that.
I apologize if you said this already, but there's teachers on the task
Yes,
force?
it's equal representation, actually.
The page 1 shows component 1A, and then the critical attributes and the possible examples. Is each component going to have those kinds of?
Yeah, I just gave you page 1 of a sample of the format.
Good. So, but each of the components,
Yes, critical
1A
attributes
through
and
F, will
yes.
have.
Through domain 4, so
Okay,
all
all
22
domains.
components will
In
be.
fact, we're going to continue to work on those and try to get them a little bit, we're going to work with the task force to try to populate those with a little bit more precision. The actual rubric that you'd be adopting tonight is what we use as the evaluation instrument. The attributes really are just helpful additions to
Looks
them.
like sounds like
Yeah.
pieces.
And there's districts that haven't done anything near this, correct?
No, I think, when we first started, we were really out there on the cutting edge. More have joined us, but we have put a lot of time and effort
But
into this.
we're revising.
Yes.
We're revising it,
Yeah.
and we've really tied it to professional development, and I think we're bringing on our new assistant principals for teaching and learning. We're gonna be connecting the dots between what we're seeing, how we're supporting teachers, how we're giving them feedback, having them tell us what they need. This coaching plan initiative that we're moving into, no one else is doing all of these pieces in quite the same way. I think I can say that with a degree of confidence.
That's great.
Well, I recognize this in the career and college readiness skills are 2 separate entities or processes. They both they both incorporate respect. And there's a little bit different. Has there ever been thought to aligning the definitions or bullet points as to what's respect within new documents, because it's described differently within the two. And I would think you'd want any individual, whether parent, whether teacher or child within the building to have the same definition of respect. And has there been any thought to that, or is that not doable?
Well, one thing I'll say is that, for example, we're a district that for over a decade have worked on cooperative learning, which has some elements of respect and collaboration in that. And so we vetted our student rubric that you looked at earlier against what we know are the critical attributes of cooperative learning. We've also taken cooperative learning and found where it sits within the rubric. So we're trying to take our initiatives and very deliberately peg them. You know, in other words, 3B is where questioning strategies are. Lots of, you know, the domain has to do with cooperation. Whether or not we've actually looked at the word choice, the diction you're referring to, and made sure it's the same in the student rubric and the Danielson framework, we haven't, but we could certainly do that.
Well, it doesn't have, I mean, and it's not even, I'm saying exact verbiage, but, you know, there's some good points in the career and college readiness that maybe could be highlighted in the teacher level as well, because it's just worded differently. But I don't want to cause extra work if you're 90% along the way, but it's just about, again, looking at this fresh.
Yeah. Some of
But I
that
defer to your expertise.
Some of that we've done, but that's a good thing for me to think about.
Well, and some of the critical attributes that'll be populated out there, we'll get at some of those things. The other thing that's really implicit in Danielson, in the framework, that's probably the best thing, is it really calls professionals to be self-reflective. You know, most of the teachers that we hire in District 207, they're with us for a career. We don't lose a lot of teachers. So it's really important that we get people whose mindset is that they're going to grow, they're going to continue to learn and grow. And that self-reflection that's implicit in Danielson is probably as important, although that's not a bad thing to teach kids as well, is this need to continue to grow and learn that, you know, life is not a static place. It's moving and it's continuing to broaden your horizons. So that's another thing I think that probably where we can match up the two areas as well.
Well, and then we're not asking our students to do anything different than we're asking our teachers.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the other that I didn't missed from before was be accountable and be professional. And accountability is huge.
Yeah.
And I think I see it within both of these.
Yes.
Yes.
But I knew it was a valuable one. Got it back.
Did you pull your caveat?
Yeah, I would like to touch you.
I will, absolutely. And you know, we have great breakdowns of the, all the categories similar to these, if you're interested.
Yeah, yeah.
Spend a lot of time with it, so.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Katie, roll please.
Lee.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye.
Lace.
Aye.
Fessler.
Aye.
McGrath.
Next up is calendar items. So I still have a couple of graduations that are not listed on here. I hope everyone knows when and where to be. That is,
We'll send out reminders as
set
well.
up reminders, that would be good, thank you. School, are there any committee meetings that we need to add to the calendar? Or
We have a tentative finance one scheduled that I don't think we'll need, so we probably just won't call it.
okay. Anyone else have anything to add to the calendar? The communications. Okay, can I have a motion to go into closed session for,
About number, the other items, information.
I'm sorry.
Just very quickly, because I came attention to recently about general topics about language lineup stories about the school district 62. And I know we, District 207, is also doing a great job on language schooling services. So I would like to kind of hear more about it. What is the data or situation regarding our District 207 regarding this language services? Let's say newly arrived immigrants might have some language barriers, and if I need some help getting assisted calling a district on help on this language related to say when my kid's getting a report cards or anything else too. How could the parents can reach out or get the services? And just roughly, what is our rough data? How many languages are spoken roughly in our District 407? And what are the like translation services that, the language services that we are currently provided with? I know District 62, they have English, both English, Spanish, and Polish. How about our district?
Yeah, we can pull that together for you, so it's driving notes. You have that data.
Yeah, we have that. It's probably, Jen, it's probably good to update that every year. It changes a little bit, but it's been pretty constant for the last few years. So why don't we put a report together and we'll send out in Friday. Okay, thank you.
Any other items? Right, if I could have a motion to go into closed session for item D, review of closed session minutes, and item C, appointments, employment, compensation, performance, for dismissal of specific employees.
I should move.
Carla, thank you.